Hello, everybody, and welcome to the September Tempo Community Call. Again, we're doing this a little bit differently than we have previously. So we're using kind of this live streaming format. So feel free to watch, add any comments, any questions you have while we're going through it, and we will be more than happy to answer them. Today, Tiffany and myself are joined by Siraj and Joe, who are Tempo members. Joe being our esteemed Tempo mastermind. That's what we're going to go with. And today we're going to cover some cost attribution and talk a little bit about 2.9. So to kick us off, I believe we're going to start with Joe. He's going to cover some of the changes that are coming up in 2.9 and maybe some details about that release. So Joe, take us away.
Thanks, and also, if you don't have the ability to chat, it just shows you the chat, but there's not a little box to be able to chat in there. You may need to click on your picture in the top right and create a channel due to just YouTube rules, and then you can chat in there. So thanks.
Cool.
And Joe, you need to share your screen again.
Oh, shoot. Thank you. I took it off because I did. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm alone now. Tempo Community Call. We're going to talk about 2.9. Let's get to the right stuff here. So 2.9 is kind of on the horizon. 2.8 was, I don't know, a little bit ago. And 2.9, it's about time we kind of cut a new one. So towards the end of this month, I think, my guess is late September, maybe like the first week of October, somewhere in that universe. We should see a 2.9. And today we just want to go over some of the major things in 2.9. Basically, so we're gonna give you a little preview. I'm gonna look at the change log. I got some tabs up here ready to show. Let's see, 2.8. I was double checking June 10th. Yeah, so middle of summer-ish, and so like late September. I'm hoping to get, or we are hoping to get the next one out. So to the change log. Where's that? I should know. Doink, there it is. Lots of stuff coming in 2.9. So this is kind of, I'm not going to go over all this, right? There'll be release notes. There'll be a blog post. Blog post will kind of highlight some of the major things. Release notes is one step below. It'll have a lot of technical details. And then the final like raw change log is the lowest level you can go to. So as always, for all Tempo releases, you'll see all these kind of, all these things produced. And the change log here, we're not going to go over all this because there's so much, but I'm going to cover, I think I got like 5 or 6 of the ones that I thought were kind of fun to talk about. The one of the ones I'm not going to talk about is some TraceQL improvements. So Marty in particular spent some time this quarter or last couple months putting together some performance improvements for TraceQL. So get excited about that. And there's lots of other great things here, but that's one I kind of didn't want to cover, but I thought was worth at least pointing out since they're all kind of very nuanced, and there's quite a few of them. But moving on, this is a breaking change that's worth discussing. So TraceQL metrics currently in 2.8 count forward from the step, basically. So if your step is aligned at a minute, like he's showing here, it's actually going to be counting the data in the future and rolling it up into the data point aligned with the minute. And that's kind of a little, I'm not gonna say it's unintuitive or not, but it's just different than Prometheus and Loki. So we realized this at some point and decided we're going to flip. And so this breaking change might not even be noticed. And in my opinion, it makes things more intuitive. Like I realized this one was actually looking at a graph of Loki metrics with Tempo metrics, and they look different in a way that I didn't expect. I thought there was a bug. And the reason was simply because of this difference in how we roll up into the bucket. So 2.9 will follow suit with Loki and Prometheus. The bucket will basically be counting the last 15 seconds or 30 seconds or 1 minute or whatever. It'll be rolling it up forward into the bucket instead of kind of like backwards into the bucket. Ruslan is a newer Tempo developer. He joined us, I think, this summer. And he writes these awesome PRs. So if you want to check out this PR, great details here. And he's a wizard with whatever this tool is he's using. Somebody knows. We all use it except me.
It's Excalibur, I think.
Thank you.
And he joined in February.
That was it's like the summer, right? February is basically the summer.
It feels like it for me too, because that's when I started basically.
Okay. I mean, like in the Southern Hemisphere is the summer. I was thinking the Summer Hemisphere when I said that. Anyways, whatever, this is a neat change. You may have noticed some alignment issues in the past, and you may have thought there was some weird behavior, and it may have been this. So we're hoping this change will make Tempo more consistent with other databases, and make some like kind of intuitions or some kind of like instincts you draw from the metrics to be more consistent across your data. This one's cool. We have been struggling with I love this story because Tempo has struggled with making traces for Tempo for I swear it's been like a year since we had really solid, strong traces. And Zach's put some time in the last few weeks, and we completely got rid of the old Jaeger client. We completely swapped only to the new OTel SDK. We made sure all our contexts were connected correctly. And currently our traces we're looking really good. They're great for debugging, and it's been a while since that's been true, which is a little embarrassing for a tracing database, but here we are. And Zach's put some time in, and he cleaned all this up nicely. So he got rid of all the old SDKs, all the old clients, focused entirely on the new OTel client. It's the only client you can use now with Tempo. And he cleaned up all the context connections, and our tracing looks far better than it has in a while. So this is a great change. We are tracing Tempo, obviously. You probably aren't, but you might be. And if you are, you'll be excited to see much improved traces in the next release in 2.9.
For someone who might be unfamiliar with tracing bridges, what exactly is that?
Okay, so previously we were using the Open Tracing Bridge, I believe, to Open Telemetry. So Open Tracing was an API, right? Like a code API that different clients implemented. So Jaeger implemented Open Tracing, and Zipkin implemented Open Tracing, and we were using OTel through this bridge, I believe. So Zach got rid of all that, got rid of the like Open Tracing Bridge, the shim in between OTel code and Tempo code, and focused made it so we use the OTel SDK directly, which has really removed a lot of bugs and really kind of just cleaned up our setup generally. So it's basically like throughout all the complexity. I'm sure we could have gotten it to work with all that, but it just felt unnecessary. We're moving on from the Jaeger client into the OTel client. And so we got rid of all that old complexity, all that old code, and now everything is way, way cleaner. Cool. And this one's fun. You may or may not have run into this. We ran into this in production, which was fun. The title doesn't do justice to this bug. I'm mentioning it because it's something you may have seen as an operator of Tempo. But if you queried the search tag values v2 endpoint which takes a queue parameter, so you can filter down the tag values returned, like the tag values returned by a traceql query. But Grafana never ran this, and so we didn't really have good experience with it. It just was there. And if you passed an invalid traceql query, it would actually brick a tenant, basically. So we had a tenant in production curl search tag values v2 manually, not use it through Grafana, passed a query that wasn't valid traceql, which broke the parser, and basically basically creates a deadlock in their tenant. Nothing else is impacted. All of their tenants work, but this one tenant can't do queries and can't write traces anymore because there's like a deadlock in the tenant. So we never realized this because Grafana just doesn't support this. And we have some very basic smoke testing to make sure it works, but we didn't push it very hard, obviously, and we didn't write invalid queries into it. So Carlos fixed this for us, and now if you do search tags, it will return errors correctly instead of incorrectly, deadlocking a tenant. So if you have seen this, I'm wondering now if some issues filed with Tempo were the result of this. But if you have seen this, we fixed it in 2.9. I like this one too. One of the challenges with tracing data generally is getting a good trace quality understanding. If you don't send good traces to a tracing database, you're not using it for the right reasons, and you're not going to get a lot of value. You're going to be frustrated. If you send good quality data, which can be challenging, we know this, right? If you're using your clients well. In fact, we were just talking about how Tempo sends bad traces to tracing databases, and we fixed that, and our traces are way better. We're getting a lot more value from them. So one of the challenges with setting up your tenants, or maybe you're a single tenant, you're just a single org with one tenant, is making sure this trace data is high value, so that you can get good data out of it, or it's a high quality, so you can get good value out of it, is a good thing to say. So this counter is neat because we've added a lot of these, and if you're unsure of these, we should maybe make a README somewhere about them. But there's a handful of metrics in Tempo designed to give feedback about trace quality. And one of the things is sometimes people just create bizarre spans with timestamps in the future or timestamps 2 years in the past. So this is a set of counters. It says future only, but it's a set of counters that tell you clearly if data is 30 seconds, 1 minute, or 5 minutes outside of the, sorry, my bad. I think it's like 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever. It's a set of time ranges outside of now, so that you get a really good sense of if somebody's sending you bad quality data, it's not being stored well, it's not coming up in searches, they're frustrated with you, the operator. This particular metric is going to be good. It's going to give you one more signal for the quality of the data you're putting into Tempo, so that you can know that you're going to get good data or value out of it. So there's a handful of these. Like I said, I do wonder if we want to make a dashboard out of this, or maybe make a doc or a README that wraps up all of our different kind of trace value things. We expose all these in cloud to our customers. I'm not sure if we've done a good job of documenting them for open source users yet. This is one we've talked about extensively. This is one of the major features in 2.9, native MCP support. We've talked about the last few community calls. Please go back and watch them if you're interested in like live demos and some other like detailed discussions. But the native MCP server means you can spin up Tempo directly with no shims and no special stuff, and point Claude Code, point Cursor, point whatever your favorite tool is over here at the Tempo MCP server, and you can get and you can use your LLM, whatever your favorite LLM agent. You can use it with Tempo data. You can ask it questions. It's really neat. There's a blog post, I think, somewhere. There's a lot of documentation. There's a nice what do I want to say? There's a nice Docker Compose in the Tempo repo. You can pull the Tempo repo, spin up a Docker Compose, fool with Claude Code with some fake synthetic data to get a feel for it. A lot of great ways to experiment with this, and we definitely will highlight it in the blog post as well as ways to play with it. So have some fun with this and give us some feedback. We think there's a lot of work to do here. We've done the basic thing. We really want to improve this over the next couple months and releases. Final thing that I think is super cool in 2.9 is Marty did a lot of those performance improvements we talked about, but there's one that you can call explicitly, and that's to add this with sample equals true hint. So sample equals true will dynamically and automatically choose how to sample your tracing data to give you the highest quality signal with examining as little data as possible, basically. Real super quick demo here. I have just a basic rate of everything. So this, open close parentheses is going to pipe to rate. So I want the rate of all spans. This is some random dev cell that we have, internally in Grafana. And I've added this with sample equals true. So this is the hint that Marty was pointing out in the PR that's now part of Tempo and will be in 2.9, sample equals true. And I've cheated a little bit. I've added this hint, which just bus cache. So, oops, sorry. So this cache equals 6 is just a cache bushing thing. This prevents it from, the hash of the query from matching. It's going to prevent cache from playing a part in here. So rating with sample equals true should give us a decent time. This is 24 hours, and it's about 80,000 spans per second. A little over 3 seconds to do that. That's pretty strong. In 2.8, if you were to run that same query right now, so same deal. I got my little cache buster here. I'm going to increment it to cache equals 6. And I'm going to run this one. So it's going to take significantly longer. And with a little bit of luck, it'll be really, really similar, right? We should see much better performance and only a very small difference in the data returned. And we can see these lines are really close to lining up, right? Like, if you look real close, maybe a couple very small changes here and there. If I look at the query inspector, it took 11 seconds, so over 3 times as long. And this improvement, the sample equals true on our metrics endpoint, allows us to get very high quality data by dynamically choosing the sampling thing. You don't have to put any parameters in here. You're not going to tell it 10% or 100% or 50%. It's going to make all the choices for you. And it gives a really high quality signal for a fraction of the cost. I think we've also baked this into drill down already. So if you use the drill down app, the open source drill down app in Grafana or in cloud, it should automatically start doing this and speed up a lot of drill down to make that experience snappier and better. Cool. So that was 2.9. I don't know if we're doing questions now. I think Matt or Tiffany probably are way more on top of this, but we'll either do questions now or kind of at the end, we'll wrap it up. But that was 2.9. We're really excited for it. Expect to see it at the end of this month. And I will hand it off to Matt Durham, I think.
Yeah. So if anyone has any questions, we'll give just a minute here for someone to post them up. And if not, we will move to Thiraj here in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and remove your screen here, Joe. Boom.
All right. Maybe there'll be questions by the end. You're welcome to post them at any time. I'm going to be here the whole time. It'll look like I disappear, but I don't. And I'll be glad to answer anything. And we'll pass it off to Matt, Tiffany, and Suraj, or however we're going to do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that 2.9 view. Now, let's turn our gaze to Suraj. Oh, we do have a question.
Oh, good.
Let's go ahead and address that.
Sure. Any chance MCP will make it into Docker Hub? So this is one of the neat things I think about our MCP server is that it's not a second process outside of Tempo. So you're not going to run, a different thing that acts as a proxy in between your agent and Tempo. You just run Tempo. Tempo natively supports the MCP server. So when you start up 2.9, there will be an MCP endpoint. There is a configuration option to turn it on. It's off by default. But if you turn that on, Tempo itself directly supports the newer HTTP MCP protocol, and you can point Claude at it directly. The blog post, we did have the MCP blog post. Thank you, Tiffany. That blog post walks you through step-by-step of how to set up Claude Code with what? Yeah, that's right. That's true. I like that you're excited about this, man. So the blog post will take you step-by-step through how to connect to, I think, cloud, but it'll be basically the exact same steps for open source, except way simpler because you have no auth. You'll point directly at the port. So yeah, no special anything. Start Tempo 2.9 up, and you should be able to connect Claude or whatever your favorite agent is directly to it. Cool. Thanks for the question, Matt.
Great question. All right. And if you think of any questions throughout the Suraj's presentation, feel free to post them up in the chat and we will get to them at the end. So now I'm going to turn it over to Suraj to tell us a little bit about cost or usage tracking.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Suraj. I'm one of the developer on Tempo team, and I'll tell you about how to track the uses of your traces data. So Tempo has a feature. It's called Usage Tracker, and it allows you to break down your ingestion volume by any label that you have in your trace. As you can see in this screen, and allows you to see who's ingesting more data, who's ingesting less data, who's causing the spike in your ingestion data, and stuff like that. It's pretty easy to configure if you already have Tempo running, which I hope you are. You just need to follow these 3 simple steps. Like step 1, go to your distributor configuration and then set uses.cost attribution enabled true. We also have controls to control the max cardinality, and this is the cardinality of the metrics that are produced by the users trackers cost attribution feature. Because let's say you do cost attribution span name or something high cardinality label like a tenant ID or something, you can have a lot of cardinality. So this allows you to protect your downstream systems who are consuming these metrics. And then the stale duration is like the Prometheus stale duration that you can control. The defaults are good enough for most people, but you can change them if you want. The step 2 is you need to configure the dimensions on which you want your users to be broken down. In this example, I'm saying break down my ingestion by service name, and it's a service.name. This is the label that is on my traces. This is empty, but I can put a label, and this is the label that will show up in the Prometheus metrics. But if I don't put anything, it will just replace dots with underscore, and it will show up as service underscore name. And when you do these things, Tempo's distributors will expose an endpoint called users underscore metrics. And this will be an endpoint that exposes Prometheus metrics about your ingestion broken down by the dimensions that you've configured here. And then you can just point your Prometheus at that endpoint. That would look something like this. Obviously, these values would be different in your setup. But yeah, we have docs. You can scan this QR code to go to docs, and then the docs have details on how to actually configure it, and this is what the metrics will look like. And yeah, so then once you have these metrics, you can write a query like this that says, hey, show me the rate of the bytes that I received, and then break them down by service name, tenant, and the tracker. And here I'm seeing the different metrics and the volume ingested by services, basically. And then I have a little demo. And the demo code is nothing but the Docker Compose example that we have in our Tempo repository. And it is configured to, expose the cost attribution by default. You just need to scrape it. And this is my demo environment. I can show you what this metric looks like by default. I have it running for a couple of hours. So you can see the counter keeps growing. It's like a regular Prometheus counter. And then I can just say, show me the rate. And then you'll see the rate, and then you see all the labels. So there is a job label, instance label, service name. These are like standard Prometheus label. And this is the label that is coming from that dimensions config. And it's looking at service.name in my traces, getting the value for that span or resource attribute, and then populating it here. So then I can see who's driving my ingestion. You can see like most of my ingestion is driven by shop backend. This is just dummy data that I have in here, and then I can only have the labels that I care about. Because this is demo, I have a single tenant, but if you are running a multi-tenant setup, you can see which tenant and then which labels that you've configured are driving your ingestion. So yeah, this goes really well, and you can see like this sums up to match the data that you see in the metric that shows the overall bytes ingested in the Tempo. So you can look at the rate of bytes ingested, and this is around 2.5K. If we sum it, and then if we do the same for the users tracker bytes, and then we stack them, yeah, it's 2.5K ish. So yeah, it's accurate, and that's the demo. One thing that I want to point out, that if you are using Grafana Cloud, then you don't need to do anything. We have a feature called cost attribution. Looks something like this. It's not GA yet, it's in private preview. So you can file a support ticket to get it enabled, but it will be GA soon. So if you are a Grafana Cloud customer, you can just configure your cost attribution labels, and then it would just work magically. There are docs, and you can scan this QR code, and I can show you the docs. Yeah, so there are a bunch of labels that are prohibited. So yeah, you need to be aware of these labels. But other than that, if you are in cloud, it would just magically work for you. And that's all. Over to you, Matt.
Thank you so much, Suraj. So we'll give just a minute here if anybody wants to ask any questions, or if anyone wants to ask any questions about what Joe covered or anything in general. Kind of open forum here for anybody who wants to just ask something to the Tempo team.
Yeah, and of course, if you think of questions afterwards, you can go to the Grafana Slack and go to the Tempo channel and ask anything there as well. And I see a question coming up. So kind of new to Tempo, but I'm going to ask anyway. Can Tempo be used to trace and debug user actions on the client side? Example, I want to know what has happened on user's mobile after failing to create a, I assume this is resource.
I can take that question mark. Maybe. I know part of it at least. Somebody else here might be able to help as well. So Tempo can kind of trace anything, right? It's designed for like backend systems in the way like an HTTP request might be serviced by a database and a cache and a couple of microservices talking to each other, from that level all the way to something significantly more complex. So that's the traditional use case for distributed tracing. I think you could do what you're saying, but there's also kind of more focused products, and I think they call that RUM. Is that correct? Real user monitoring. So at Grafana, we have something called Pharaoh, which I think would be more designed for what you're saying, like on a mobile or on a web page, right? So like on a user-facing client, a tool to get an understanding of how they're interacting and where the latencies are and what their experience is. So I think Pharaoh from Grafana would be like something that would fit your niche, what you're asking about, more directly. And then if you just search for RUM generally, you'll find all kinds of projects and ideas in this area.
And then another question is, does Grafana plan to have trace-based alerts?
Do we have to? Okay, I don't even know. Like it got turned on accidentally. Somebody figured out how to do it in cloud, but you weren't supposed to. So I think somebody is currently running. Don't tell anybody that. I shouldn't say that. I think there is a way technically to trick Grafana to do alerts right now on TraceQL in Tempo in cloud. Somebody figured it out, but for the most part, I think the answer is currently no, you can't. But yes, we intend this, right? I don't know the timeline. Like I've heard so many stories about it, like getting enabled and disabled and turned on, and somebody's using it not, that I've completely lost track of when it's supposed to go and what the real stuff is. And then I was gonna say, yeah, like we have a PM somewhere that's supposed to know this. Does anybody know? Does anybody know when the alerts go are real in Grafana? No, okay. There's a PR a bit ago that they merged and then reverted or something. It's a very bizarre story. Maybe we should get you a real answer for the next community call. Because like I said, I've lost track of the true state because it's changed so much in the past 3 months, and a lot of people want it too. Ooh, this is one last final thing to say about alerting with tracing. Got to be careful with trace alerting. When you alert on something like metrics or logs, right, you generally have like a consistent signal. If you were to build some kind of alert, like more than 1 error per second or something, alert me, please. Things like sampling rates impact the data in Tempo. So tracing is a different-ish signal, and you got to be a little bit more careful about the alerts you write to avoid a lot of noisiness, right? If you were to, a lot of alerts can be impacted by your sample rates, head sampling in pipeline, right? Or the different places you would put this. So you got to be thoughtful about the kind of alerts you build on tracing. So do what you will, but I would say think for a bit about what your tail-based sampling policy might do, or what would happen if one of your clients went from 1% to 2% to 10%. Would that impact your alerts or not? And try to write alerts that are like not unimpacted by changes in scale like that.
And then Mal's made a comment of, we use the usage metrics in production. It's great. Thanks for that. So good job.
Thank you.
I wanted to jump quickly back to the question before so that Suraj can show Pharaoh.
Yeah, so this is the page. It shows stuff like total, time to first byte, I think, first contentful paint. I'm not a front-end developer, so I don't know what this means. But these are the metrics I think the front-end folks really care about. And it's pretty easy. I think there is a JavaScript SDK that you include, and then you add events. And then you ingest, and then it generates like logs and traces both. So yeah, that's all.
And then, like, for folks, if you have like questions about things, maybe like you're looking through the docs and you're wanting to ask more, if you go to grafana.com/grot, there's Gratbot, and you can ask the AI helper questions, and it'll pull things from the docs and such.
All right, we'll give just a minute or two to see if any more questions come in. But in general, I'll take an opportunity to wrap some of our conferences coming up. We obviously have a presence at KubeCon coming up in November. So if you're going to be attending that, I will be working the booth there. So feel free to stop by and say hello. And of course, we have ObsCon in London at a date I don't remember off the top of my head.
It is the 7th through 9th. I'm posting the link in the chat.
Awesome. Plus any number of smaller other events we attend. So if you attend one of those, find us. More than happy to talk to you. All right. I don't see any more questions coming through. So anything else? Anything anybody would like to add?
see you next month.
All right. See you next month. And thank you for showing up.
Thanks, everyone.